You're not lazy. You're exhausted from fighting your wiring. Right now, someone with half your credentials is building twice your wealth. Not because they work harder, but because their brain doesn't classify their highest value work as work at all. You've been told the answer is discipline, grit, pushing through. But every neuroscience study on sustained high performance points to the same conclusion. The people who outwork everyone aren't actually outworking anyone. They've hacked the part of their brain that decides what counts as effort. And once you see how they did it, you can't unsee it. Here's the neurological trap you're in. Your brain runs a cost-benefit analysis on every action you take. Not consciously, but in the ventral striatum, the region that weighs effort against reward. When the effort feels high and the reward feels abstract or distant, your brain tags that activity as aversive. That's the clinical term for what you feel as resistance, procrastination, or just not feeling it. Here's where it gets worse. The activities your brain labels as high effort are learned labels. They aren't objective. A 10-hour workday writing code feels effortless to one person and excruciating to another. Not because of discipline differences, but because their brains have different effort tagging for the same task. The people you think are outworking you, they've accidentally or intentionally built their income around tasks their brain has tagged as low effort. You haven't. You're trying to brute force your way through activities. Your ventral striatum has already flagged as costly. That's not a character flaw. That's a diagnostic mismatch between your neurology and your strategy. And the myth of discipline has been covering it up. Let me show you what this looks like in real life. You take a sales job, remote, flexible, good commission structure. On paper, it's perfect. But the first time you open your phone to make a cold call, your heart rate spikes. Not metaphorically, you feel tachycardia. Your amygdala, the brain's threat detection system, has tagged calling strangers as a social risk. So every call becomes a miniature fight or flight event. You push through it once, twice. You tell yourself it's just discipline. But after 2 weeks, the thought of opening your CRM makes your stomach tighten before you even pick up the phone. Now picture this. Someone else on your team, same training, same leads, is making 50 calls a day and closing deals like it's nothing. Not because they're more disciplined, because their brain didn't tag stranger interaction as threatening. For them, the dopamine hit from connecting with someone new outweighs the effort cost. Their ventral striatum runs a different equation. You're both working, but only one of you is working uphill. Here's the part nobody tells you. You look at the top performer and assume the gap is willpower. So you double down. You wake up earlier, you listen to motivation podcasts, you try to just push through, but you're not fighting a motivation problem. You're fighting a brain that has correctly identified a task as misaligned with your threat response wiring. And the more you force it, the stronger that aversive tag becomes. You're not building discipline. You're building learned helplessness. Now imagine the same scenario, different task. You're the type who gets into deep research spirals. You can spend 4 hours analyzing data and not realize time passed. That same hyperfocus? The sales guy on your team would find it unbearable. His brain tags staring at spreadsheets the same way yours tags cold calls. You're not better or worse. You're just wired for different effort equations. But if you're trying to build wealth doing his job instead of yours, you will lose. Not because you're undisciplined, because you're fighting your own ventral striatum. This isn't motivational theory. This is documented brain architecture. When you perform a task your brain is tagged as low effort, 3 things happen neurologically. First, your dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for sustained focus, stays online longer without fatigue. Studies on cognitive endurance show that perceived effort, not objective difficulty, predicts when focus collapses. If your brain believes the task is easy, you can do it longer before hitting decision fatigue. Second, dopamine release becomes self-reinforcing. Carol Dweck's work on intrinsic motivation shows that when you receive positive feedback on something that felt natural, your brain encodes that pairing. The next time you do the task, dopamine fires in anticipation of the reward, not just after. That's the neurological basis of flow state. You're not disciplined. You're chemically hooked on the feedback loop. Third, and this is the part that separates high performers from everyone else, your default mode network stays quiet. The DMN is the brain's internal narrator, the voice that says, this is hard or I should be doing something else. Neuroimaging studies show that when people perform tasks aligned with their natural processing style, DMN interference drops. You stop narrating your work. You just do it. That's not discipline. That's reduced cognitive friction. Wait, let me show you the brutal flip side. When you force yourself into misaligned work, the opposite happens. Your prefrontal cortex fatigues faster. Dopamine stops firing in anticipation and only shows up weekly after forced completions. And your DMN? It screams. Every minute feels like 10. Because your brain is actively generating resistance. You're not weak. You're neurologically upstream. And no amount of motivational content will fix a structural wiring problem. Here's the protocol. This isn't theory. This is how you systematically identify and exploit your brain's low-effort pathways. Step 1, run the effort audit. For the next 7 days, track every work task you do and rate it on 2 scales. Perceived effort 1 to 10 and objective output quality 1 to 10. Don't judge it, just log it. You're looking for the golden zone. Tasks where effort feels like a 3 or 4, but output quality is 7 or higher. That's your wiring showing you where it wants to go. Most people skip this step because they think they already know. You don't. Your conscious self-assessment is corrupted by what you've been told you should be good at. Step 2. Identify the pattern behind the pattern. Look at your low-effort, high-output tasks and ask, what cognitive mode are they using? Are they analytical, interpersonal, spatial, linguistic, competitive? You're not looking for job titles. You're looking for the underlying neurological demand. I like writing is too vague. I like taking chaotic ideas and building a structure. That's a cognitive signature. That specificity matters because it tells you what kind of work will feel effortless even when it's hard. Step 3. Reverse engineer income around the signature. This is where most people fail. They find their low effort zone and then try to fit it in around their current job. No, the goal is to make your highest income activity the thing your brain already wants to do. If deep research feels effortless, your wealth should come from research-dependent work. Analysis, due diligence, strategy. If interpersonal connection feels effortless, your wealth should come from sales, consulting, community building. You're not asking what pays well? You're asking what pays well that my ventral striatum has already pre-approved? Step 4. Install the positive feedback loop. Once you've identified the aligned task, you need external validation early and often. Your brain needs proof that this path works. Post the research, pitch the service, share the output. You're not trying to go viral. You're trying to generate one piece of feedback that says this thing you did effortlessly was valuable to me. That feedback rewires the dopamine pathway. Do it again. The second time, your brain fires dopamine in anticipation. That's the moment you stop needing discipline. You're chemically locked in. Step 5. Ruthlessly eliminate misaligned effort. This is the part no one wants to hear. You have to stop doing the thing that should work. If cold calls make your amygdala scream, stop making cold calls. I don't care if someone else got rich doing it. You won't. Not because you're incapable, because your brain has correctly identified it as high cost. Redirect that energy into the task your effort audit flagged as low cost, high output. You're not quitting. You're reallocating cognitive resources to where your brain has a structural advantage. Imagine waking up next Monday. Same apartment, same bank balance, but the dread is gone. Not because you became more disciplined, but because you stopped trying to rewire your brain and started rewiring your strategy instead. You open your laptop, and the work you need to do is the work your brain has been begging you to do for years. No fight, no countdown, no motivational video required. That's not a fantasy. That's what happens when you stop outworking everyone and start out strategizing your own neurology. If that's the future you want, subscribe. Not to collect content, but to collect evidence that you're the type of person who takes their wiring seriously. This channel is a behavioral intervention. Every video is another data point, proving you can build wealth without fighting yourself. The algorithm will show you what it thinks you want. Make sure it knows you want this.